Good.
Oh, is it me? Oh, it's you. Sorry, go for it. I can't.
I do odds, you do evens. We're only 135 episodes in. Have we not worked this out yet?
Because I had swapped the screens around. That's my problem.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode 135. It is the 2nd of June. How the hell are we in June? What happened to January, February, March, April, May? Gone. As always, I am here, joined by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, how are you, and how was your week and weekend?
Good, thank you. Very good. First of all, apologies, A, for jumping in and stealing your intro, and B, it looks like Facebook Family's not working, so I got a big error message saying that we can't go live to Facebook, so sorry for that one. And it looks like my Instagram feed's just showing black, so apologies to the Instagram people as well. But technical points aside, yeah, good week, good weekend. First of all, good to see the race. The race was good fun. We enjoyed that one. Good to see a bit of controversy at the end, and hopefully we get to see that certain Max Verstappen gets a penalty later down the line. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Maybe shots tad extreme, but a race ban will go down well.
You've got to set an example to the younger generation, and that is not it.
Well, that's exactly
what he did on that racetrack is the equivalent of you going, I don't like that, Johan, buff, and thumping me in the face. Like,
just imagine, you'll never stand up again, right? Like, that's it, gone. Yeah, and also, is it like, I used to be a huge Doctor Who fan, but I haven't watched it in 8 years or so, or whatever it's been now. Are we happy that Billie Piper's back? I don't know. I mean, the internet was certainly confused. I was even more confused. So let's see how that goes.
So many things I could say and get myself cancelled here. But no, I've not watched it in absolutely years and years. I lost interest.
Pretty much the last time I watched it was when she was last involved, really, like properly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's more the fact that you grew up.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I probably will we'll give it a go, see what it's like, and go through from there. But yeah, controversial, but good nonetheless. What about yourself, Jan? How's your week been?
Had a busy week in the office, just being productive. So yeah, that was all good. Fairly chilled weekend. Very angry Sunday afternoon, explaining the fact that Max Verstappen's been let off too lightly, and he's an absolutely terrible role model and sportsman, and should be banned from anything public facing. I still go for he should be shot. But if we're going to have to ban him, we need to ban him for life. That's just not the behaviour we want people to be seeing from the sport. You know, F1's always held itself to a higher standard than football, for example. So yeah, very frustrating to see that kind of behaviour out of the 4 times world champion, but shows his true colours that I've always been saying he is.
Should have been anyway.
So yeah, but as always, we are nothing if we're not here for our community. So let's have a look who's here today. Stephanie Marshall is here 8 minutes early, but she was about to start driving. So there we go.
And that's probably good. I'm sure she'll be one of the first to jump in the comments defending Max, no doubt, you know, knowing
Oh, she's not a Max fan, is she?
Yeah, no, I'm just winding her up. She would.
Christ.
She's driving and can't reply. I thought I'd just.
Where's that block button? Do we have a block button? Anyone that supports Max Verstappen's going to get blocked, I've decided.
In fairness, she's an Oscar fan, so.
Good on her.
Lando.
You chose the wrong one again. You went for Norris.
Lando all the way, and I will be the end of the season. I'll be the one happy. Don't you worry about that, sunshine. Don't you worry about
that. Good morning to Dave. Hope everyone had a great weekend. We did. Thank you, Dave. Good morning to Cheryl. 8:30 on the dot as always, Cheryl. Good morning to Kirsty. Here while she finds it on LinkedIn. Just stay on YouTube.
Maybe it's broken as well. Maybe I don't know.
We've got some LinkedIn ones coming in, so that's fine. It's working somewhere. Cheryl says Mr. S, Cheryl's husband, said the F1 was the best, and he's not watched it in a while. Fantastic! It was a great race.
It was.
Good morning from Clive Hand over in Ireland. It's a bank holiday in Ireland. So he gets to tune in live for once.
Ask him if he's having what tea he's having, because controversially he doesn't support the fact that Yorkshire tea is the best. So
What?
we've got to start. We need to start having, like, before you enter the community of ASICAN, and we need certain questions being answered beforehand. And
Are you a Max Verstappen fan? Do you drink Yorkshire tea?
Yeah.
We'll give you a pass on what accounting software you use, but
Yeah, the big important stuff.
Yeah. Paul Whitehouse, good morning to you. Good morning to Suzanne. Good morning, LinkedIn user. Not given permission to share your name. Kirsty says, I love Doctor Who and loved Rose, but not sure how she can be a new Doctor. So
It's confusing, isn't it?
I don't think I think Doctor Who's one of those things where you don't apply logic to the script.
Susan was there, Susanna Jack.
Susan, good morning to you as well. Juliet, good morning. Sam Green says Doctor Who was almost as controversial as the F1. I would argue F1's real life. So it's more controversial.
Don't listen
No
to
one
him.
hit anybody in Doctor Who. Nicola Gardner says good morning to everybody.
And she knows what a cob is as well, so
she knows what a cob is, right?
She passed the test straight away. Yeah.
What has this show become? Clive Hand says Formula 2, Alex Doon driving for McLaren in a couple of years. Yeah, he did really well, didn't he?
Yeah. Although not so well in Monaco, but we'll move on.
Blessing says, hi guys, what's your favourite football team? I don't follow football. I won't explain.
Away.
Moving on. Rachel said, good morning to Rachel. I thought this was a podcast about accountancy stuff, not motor racing.
We'll get there.
We'll get that. We'll get to that bit.
And I promise you it's going to be tasty, this one as well, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we've got some good things to discuss. Clive says, Lions tea for real men.
That's because I found Derbyshire tea over the weekend, and I thought, Derbyshire versus Yorkshire, let's get the rivalry up and running. But yeah, apparently Lions tea
for a LinkedIn post.
Yeah. Well, we've not got any socks for a while, so got to scrape the barrel somehow, haven't we?
True. Good morning to Tim C as well. Hope you are well. Bookkeeper superhero Natasha says good morning all. Good morning, Natasha. And Tim C says Lions tea is just PG tips repackaged. Oh my god.
We've all about the monkeys, because that's all. Every time I see the PG tips, it still gets brought back to my childhood and those little monkeys running around. So yeah.
Right. On that note, we'll call it quits, shall we? 10 minutes in.
So go on, Jan. You've actually got news for us, haven't you? Like,
we've got news.
Professional news. Let's get on with it.
So, big moment in the world of Ask the Accountant. We have been seen and recognised by a software as a media outlet. We were sent a press release to look at. So our friends at Free Agent, thank you, Free Agent, for making us feel all grown up and professional. I think the last 10 minutes has proven we're not.
Yeah, they might be rethinking their.
Yeah, I can see the PDF being pulled back off my screen. But yeah, so Free Agent have sent us a press release explaining the 2 new releases that came out last week. So we thought we'd give them some time and go through them. So first of all, they have released management reporting. So not only will you get your profit and loss, you'll now get a nice little package. You can edit your front page. You can add pages in and stuff. Very cool. I was playing with this over the weekend. It's a really nice suite. Like the clients that you're dealing with in Free Agent don't generally need hugely complex reporting. So actually being able to just generate a nice, well-presented management account from Free Agent using their data is fantastic. So yeah, really nice tool. Have you having a look at this yet, Aaron?
I'll go through. Let's go through the news now. I have played, but I did a video on this over the weekend, ready to launch tomorrow. So we'll talk about it.
So what were your thoughts on the Free Agent management reports?
So do you want to do management reports first? I think management reports for me, I think you're right. There's no real need for them to do too much more. But But saying that, my favorite part about the announcement is the fact that they're saying that this is only the start, because it's definitely bare bones, right? There's definitely needs to be some other stuff there, especially when the competition is starting to think about taking their management reports to the next level and starting to think about bringing in data from other sources and stuff like that. I'm not 100% convinced or have like the worry that Free Agent needs to go as far as that. I don't think they need to go into the depth of trying to bring in the CRM solution and bring in KPIs from there and stuff like that. I don't think they need to go down that, but I think for them to be feature parity at least and trying to be in the same conversation, I do feel like it needs a little bit more. But that it's a first start. It gives us an opportunity. It means that people like myself who were discounting them as a solution for certain clients because they didn't have management solution can now go, actually there is a management reports pack there, so I'm liking that. Just be interesting to see what's to come. And I think what will be really telling is what that cadence is like, right? They've set the scene. Management reports are here. They basically said, hold my beer because more's coming, right? I'll be interested to see what that cadence is like. Do we wait a year? Is it half a year? Whatever that's going to be. I think that's going to be a really interesting point to see what it's like. So yeah, bare bones, but it's there. It is what it is.
I mean, you've got your executive summary, profit and loss, balance sheet, age debtors, age creditors, and a notes section. Is this potentially the first thing that Free Agent start looking at AI for? Because Free Agent have been very candid with AI and gone, we'll look at it when we can find a valid business case for it that brings true value to the tool. Because I mean, their bank transaction tool, others would call it AI. They've had it like that for years, and it's been very accurate. And they just don't brand it under marketing as AI.
Yeah.
But maybe AI summaries and AI interpretations of the management accounts is a first entry point for them.
Well, I would argue the more focus needs to be on customization options, right? My favorite part of a management report is being able to bespoke it for a client. Now, yes, you have to price this service right, and yes, you have to find the clients who are actually going to take them, actually use this data. There's no point just creating a management report for the sake of creating one, right? We've all had clients where they've said they want management reports, you send them out to them and they just skim read it and never look at it again. But for the right client, when they really do actually take an interest on it, and for us as business advisors, bookkeepers, accountants, whatever you want to call us, there's a great sense of job satisfaction, isn't there, when you find a client who really wants to work with you and they really appreciate their talks with you and they really appreciate those management reports you do because they see it as a journey. And for that right client and the right fee and everything else, that having that opportunity to grow with that client and see them go through their wins and talk about their losses and having that opportunity is what I see the management accounts bringing to the table, right? And also what I love about the competition doing is when you have the opportunity to bespoke it for certain fee generators. So best example is VAT, right? Especially for more complex VAT schemes out there, being able to develop a management account pack which is purely just on, right, here's your partial exemption VAT account, and here's the different reports that we're going to put into it to give you, the end consumer, the end client, confidence that we've got it right. That's where I see management reports being going forward. So yeah, I'm hopeful that later down the line we have that customization options to go, right, here we are, here we can build whatever pack that client needs, whatever pain point they've got. Let's build a pack for them so that they can have confidence in it. So yeah, I'm hopeful, grateful that they've said. I mean, the best part about it is the fact that they've admitted that this is just a start, and that was in the press release, right? Like in the start, that more to come. So yeah, let's see what they bring to the table with it. So looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, no, I really like the personalization of it from the front cover, the branding side of things that you can do as well, which others just don't do unless you're built in like a specialist reporting tool. So yeah, really good. Really happy with that. I've got a few clients that will be able to send some management accounts out to and test it. So looking forward to that one.
And I think that customization thing is really important, because for me, that's where Engager really took itself to the next level, right? You built a tool, and you basically said, look, here's a tool, go do what you want with it, right? And some of the stuff your community's brought out with, I mean, biased, because I think Producer Lizzie's probably done one of the best jobs, but when you look at everyone else and what they've been able to achieve with the tools you give them, like it's proudness of the work, isn't it? It's proudness of the thing. And then that's what these sort of tools are designed to do, isn't it?
Yeah, like we can all go, oh, have a personalized domain for your portal or something. But actually, what's more valuable is like the PDF generators and the branding throughout it is completely tailored by you. Yeah, huge value add to anything that lets you do that.
Yeah,
cool. So the second the second feature that they are releasing is Find and Fix. So very much like Find and Recode in Xero, or what's it called in QuickBooks? Reclassifying QuickBooks. Basic principle of you'll be able to go in, you'll be able to edit up to 100 items at once across bank transaction explanations, out-of-pocket expenses, and bills. It removes the need for items to be edited one at a time, making error correction faster, easier, and much less of a headache for accountants and bookkeepers. So you'll be able to quickly change accounting categories, VAT, and description on chosen items with no journal or repetitive clicking required. Free Agent have also included a built-in bulk edit history feature, so users will always have a clear record of what's been changed.
Nice.
Which I know there's a history feature in Xero. Is there a history feature in QuickBooks?
Yeah, part of your audit trail, isn't it? You go to audit trail and you can just show what's been changed by reclassification.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, this has been something that accountants and bookkeepers have wanted for a long time in there. This will, like, it's not even necessarily when you start making mistakes. It's when you have that meeting with a client 9 months into a year and they decide, actually, can we split out our accommodation costs from our travel costs because we want to see where we're spending our money better?
Yeah.
And you go, oh God, I'm going to have to, yes, okay. But now it's like, yeah, okay, no problems at all. Done. Nice and easy. So yeah, very happy about this. I almost wish it was in a month earlier, because I could have really done it with it about a month ago. But hey, I don't have that pain point anymore, so that's all good. Thoughts on this?
So this one, to me, like, this was their big Accountex news as well, wasn't it? So this was their that management reports and the Genesis integration was what they're bringing through. What I would say for this one is, this to me is the fixed asset register for QuickBooks all over again in some respects, because this is one of those features where we've been waiting for it for a while, right? And when you wait for something for a while, your expectations go higher and higher and higher. Now, in fairness to Free Agent, they didn't lock this behind a premium product, so it isn't quite as controversial as the fixed asset register one. But when it does come to kind of releasing it, when you're releasing it later down the line, I always feel like this is something that I just wish that sometimes softwares will leave it in the oven a little bit longer, because let's be frank. I know you've said that it's a bit, you wish you had it a month earlier, but would it have hurt if you had it 6 months later, or whatever the time frame is going to be? It wouldn't, right? So what I would love to see is these softwares maybe put it out in a beta or something and letting people kind of play around with it, give the feedback and everything else. Because all I would want from this particular software is to either hit the feature parity of the competitors, or my dream of this was them to come out and do something better than the competitors, right? Well, this is the thing.
They've hit the feature parity part, from what I can tell.
Not quite, but we'll come to that, right? Okay. But for me, like, this is an opportunity for them to wow us, because the whole point of a new feature is for people like myself to turn my head and go, oh, I'm jealous, right? They've got something that I haven't got, right? Like, that's the draw, isn't it? And that's how you sell product going forward, and you convert more licenses and everything else, is where you can make the opposition envy, right? And the people not using your software envy. So I would say, if they would been able to bring this as a solution where we didn't have to go to a different area, like my biggest frustration with reclassification and recode and this thing is that there's a whole dedicated area for it that you've kind of got to go into and force yourself to find that data again. Because most of the time, like you just said, you've been in a conversation with a client and you're going through the nominal ledger with them and they've gone, oh yeah, that hit there. Can we have another category for that? Because like you said, like that would be really useful. I'd love if there was a world where while you're already in the general ledger, you could just make the changes there, right? This recode or whatever you want to call it was built into the nominal ledger. That to me would be like the next step, the innovation, the way that you go and try and build on this feature. Because let's be honest, QuickBooks had it since day one. Xero, I don't think had it since day one, but they've had it for a long time, right? They haven't really needed to innovate on it because no one's ever come along and done anything better, right? They've just come along and like just given us either feature parity or close enough to feature parity. And I feel like I wish all software would take this approach where let's not just release it just because we want to have a new feature. Let's release it and let's make it better so that we can have it. And that's what Engager did, right? The rivals or the competitions already had the opportunity for you to go and do 648 categorize authorization, right? But you guys were like, well, there's no point in just releasing it on par. Let's help the industry. Let's release it and do it better. And then no doubt at some point the opposition will catch up and they'll do it, and then you'll do something. And the one who wins from that is us, the end consumer, right? The end user. That's who ultimately wins.
Okay, so I'll challenge that approach just with exactly what you just said there, right? QuickBooks and Xero have had this for ages.
Yeah.
FreeAgent have said, right, we're going to get feature parity. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't got, but yeah, go for it.
Which they've got most of.
Okay.
But now, is it now not on QuickBooks and Xero to go, oh crap, we've been resting on our laurels. How do we advance this product further? Because they've got years of feedback and user data on this, right? FreeAgent haven't. FreeAgent are starting from a blank. So FreeAgent now needs to spend time seeing user behavior, heat maps, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
To work out how they can make it slicker and better.
Yeah.
But QuickBooks and Xero have already got that years worth of it, and they've done nothing with it. So is it not on them?
It's resource management, though, isn't it? Like you're building a product, you need to either go to what your competitors are doing better than you and try and catch up with there, or you're going to do a new shiny object that's going to then bring in, because they have put incremental upgrades. I only know from the Intuit side, the QuickBooks side, right? Like maybe Xero's had a new font, maybe, I don't know, but maybe they've put a new font to this. But from a QuickBooks point of view, they've put in locations. That was a big feature they added, but it just went on the radar because it was just an incremental increase to the feature, right? They released the opportunity for you to change or set the reporting dates via the reporting tab, like really small updates, but all that's really justified for a feature that was already, best in class. Like there was no one else doing better than them, right? And maybe there was people doing feature parity, but that's all that's needed, right? And that's it. So this is where I would have loved the opportunity to come out swinging with the best in class product. And just on that feature parity, the one thing that I would say they need to work on and as feedback is you can't put things to director's loan, and that's really, really frustrating me. And I get it. Like that's FreeAgent's whole way of like, let's make this a product where you can't break it. You can't, like from an end user point of view, it's amazing, right? Like you were saying there about the categories and stuff, like you can't do anything wrong in FreeAgent. That's its USP. Like as a end consumer, you can't get this wrong. It's hold your hand and go through from there. But I do feel like they've got to accept that as accountants, like we know what we're doing. Well,
it should find and fix the restricted under certain user permissions so that they can't, but then make it more powerful in return.
And then just open it up to we can do anything we want. Like if we want to move it to somewhere that's, controversial or whatever the thing is, right? Let us do that because it's our responsibility to get it right at the end of the day. Most of the time as accountants and bookkeepers, we know what the end result needs to be. We're just using a tool to get there. And in this case, because we can't put something to director's loan or put against retained earnings, whatever it is, like whatever accounts they've restricted us from using, that's causing us having to do workarounds. So in my case, I had to go to the Contra account, and then from the Contra account, I then had to post to the Director's Loan, right? We're adding steps in here where I get it. They don't want people to make mistakes and they don't want to, but as the accountant and thing,
at our level, those restrictions shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it almost feels like patronizing to us, right? Like, you know, just give us the tools. Like, it's so frustrating that we can't just go and do what we need, right? So that's where I would say that feature parity is just not quite there. Yeah, it does everything it says on the tin and it moves it. I think it needs to be a little bit quicker. If I'm all honest, it does take a little bit of time to go through, fair enough. But they're bits that will just fix over time, right? And that'll happen and you'll get a feature parity at that point. But take away those restrictions from us, give us the tool so we can go in there, and if we break it, it's our fault, right? Like, that's on us. Don't let the client break it, but as accountants and bookkeepers, give us the opportunity to go in and just make the changes we need. But yeah, look, I'm really grateful it's there. Again, it puts them in the conversation. It gives us a chance to kind of say, look, now we're in the same category, same conversation, same everything else as the competition. So thumbs up to them. I think, from a UI point of view, it's really slick. It works really well. Like, there's no faults or anything. Great searching functionality, so we can get and drill down to exactly what we need to do and make those changes. Just take away that restriction from us. Like that's what the competition do really well. They just let you go and change what you want and get it. Break it if you need to, right? So yeah, I just feel like that's where I just wish we were in a world, and this isn't on free, this is on everyone, right? We're at this position where this MVP is such an important thing. Let's get it out there, make sure people like it, innovate and thingy. But the problem is that MVP is so dangerous to get right or wrong, isn't it? If you put an MVP out there and it's really cool and everyone gets on it, it gets lots of updates and everyone's happy, and that's the best case scenario. But if you release an MVP and it doesn't quite hit right from day one, it's really difficult to get a second chance, isn't it? And it's really difficult to get people back into it to go from there. And I just wish as an industry we were happy to take more risks. We're happy to leave it in the oven for a bit longer to come out to wow us, and then we can go from there. Because as an industry, we're terrible at adoption, we're terrible at taking risks, we're terrible at going through from there. So I just wish we as an industry had and I think it's on us. I think we're the problem, but I think we need to give more respect to these vendors, so that when they do bring out something wow, we should be more willing to adopt it, shouldn't we? And then hopefully they can bring out much better quality updates going forward.
Makes sense. Right, let's have a look at who's saying what in the comments about this. Paul Whitehouse says, yes, agree. A reclassification option icon in the running when running the P&L or balance sheet, for that matter, to subcategories or assigned locations and classes would be cool. Yeah.
That's why you're looking at it, right? Like, that's the whole point. You're looking at it. You're thinking, at the moment, we've trained ourselves just to replicate that report or replicate that date range or whatever it's going to be to go and fix it. But we're already there. So give us that tool. Yeah.
Chris Downing. Good morning, Chris. Chris, Sage, you're on it already. Sage, you've already just advanced, reclassified, recode, whatever you want to call it. So find, recode, corrections, whatever one wishes to call it. Surely the next step in the evolution is for Gen AI to proactively suggest the amendments and then making them with control over the process. So Sage Copilot does this within the Ledger Plus portfolio overview from Sage for Accountants. Yeah, I mean, if it starts recognizing that, oh, hang on, you've put BP petrol stations in travel, motor expenses, etc. Do you want to move them all? And here's my suggestion: you move them to travel or motor expenses, whatever. And you go yes, or you say no, ignore that. I'm happy with where it is, and then it shouldn't ask me again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, that another great use of Gen AI. Instead of you going through and going, what the hell was that in there for? Who put that there? Oh, hang on, it was me. Gen AI goes, morning, Johan, by the way, we found some weird transactions in travel and sub that you might want to put in motor expenses. Is that fantastic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
really
that
cool concept.
the generation of that is when you can wow the client, isn't it? Like that idea that you've just come up with, let's bring this new class and location to the fray, right? Like, wow, we're going to work with your business and we're going to show online versus offline sales, right? You add a new online sales category. If that Gen AI can go, right, well, here's our suggested transactions that belong to that class and location for the historical ones, straight away, you're making an impact that the client understands, right? This is why going forward, we need to be careful that this is going to the right class and location, because look how much rich this data is now. Look how much more powerful this report is, because with it may not get 100% right, but at least it's putting a idea as to why this is going to benefit you, because now we can run this report, and this report is now split between online versus offline sales, and what I mean. Like that's where this will be really, really powerful to bring into play. And also, what I think as well from a Gen AI is to start to thinking about applying it to your whole portfolio. So you've gone in there, you've found a transaction, and you go, right, well, let's use AI to make sure that our whole portfolio of clients follows the same suite, right? Here's our fee. That always goes to accountants and bookkeeping fees, no matter what. Like, so going forward, that's where I want it to go. And that's where I really see like the reclassification stuff being useful, because surely then it can learn from it way more than the initial. Because when you initially add something, most of the time it's a client or someone just quickly wanting to get that information in, right? When you reclassify, that's normally when you're making a proper decision to go, right, I want to move this from here to here. And that's when I want like suggestions and all this sort of stuff to start learning from reclassification, or what it like Chris says, whatever you want to call it, because that's when normally a business advisor or an accountant, bookkeeper, whatever you want to call us, has come in and used our knowledge to go, no, we don't want this here, we want this here. And that's why I think AI as well can make a huge difference, because it should be able to learn way more from a recode than ever will from the original transaction being put in.
Definitely. Right, let's move on from Free Agent and talk about friends at QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So we've known this has been coming for a few weeks now. We weren't sure if what was and wasn't allowed to be disclosed. Someone's disclosed it on LinkedIn, so we are following suit.
Floodgates have opened.
So yeah, that is the can well and truly opened. So QuickBooks, in their infinite wisdom, have decided from December this year, they're going to start charging software vendors for using their API. And they've done it in the most complicated, horrible, unimaginable way. So, a bit of context here. Most software say they've got an open API. Now, an open API is normally free to use. It doesn't cost anyone that wants to use the API any money to pull and push data. It's just there because the value it adds to both sides users is important. Xero, for a while, have charged for the privilege of using their API. And that frustrated me. Having said that, compared to how QuickBooks are doing it, it's actually quite easy at Xero. So Xero charge per firm, that's per connection. So Aaron, you link your Xero accounting firm to Engager. It costs us X amount per month, regardless of how much data you're pushing and pulling. Nice little sum of money. Nice and easy, right? Going from December onwards, QuickBooks aren't charging by connection. They're charging the software vendors by the amount of calls. So call is when Engager pushes or pulls data from QuickBooks, Xero, Free Agent, whoever.
Yeah.
And we get X amount of calls free a month. And then anything after that will cost us money. But then how does the software vendor work out what to charge for this extra add-on? Because ultimately, this is what I always call this an indirect tax. Because QuickBooks and Xero don't want to increase their own prices, but they want to make more money. So they're going to make the vendors that link into them increase their prices to cover these costs. And then, so actually, the accounting firm's not paying QuickBooks directly, they're paying us to pay QuickBooks. So, yeah, a bit like VAT, right? Indirect tax. So, yeah. And how software vendors are going to work this out, I don't know. The only simple way of doing it is just to blanket increase your software fees. And average it out a bit. But what are your thoughts on this? Because you've been a huge champion of QuickBooks having a free open API and stuff for a very long time.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this new approach?
This is a tricky one, isn't it? I think the problem is you've got people like ourselves who have been banging on about how their API hasn't been updated in X amount of time. Like there was a long barren period where there was no updates to the API whatsoever. And that frustrated us, doesn't it? Like that is it makes it difficult for people like yourself to build software that actually has meaningful impact on it. It's difficult for us to, look at alternatives to pull data and everything else, especially when they're going into the advanced world and they want to go into the industry, the ERP world as well, with it into an enterprise suite and all that sort of stuff. Like they're gonna, those solutions make or break on how in-depth their integrations can be. Like if you don't have a strong integration, then you're going to lose out to the NetSuites and to the Sage Intacct and all those of the world, right? Like they just won't be able to play those tables. So in one way, I'm happy that finally we're going to get some updates to the APIs, like without a doubt, and they have to be held accountable for this, but we need to see better integrations, better APIs. We need to see more access to the thing for developers' point of view, all that stuff. And you would have thought, outside looking in, that this is what would generate that, right? They're now going to have a resource. They can dedicate that resource to building up a whole, API team or whatever you want to call it, right? Because they're going to have the resource to do that because now they're monetizing it. So in one respect, we should be, maybe happy's not the right word, but we should be at least in a better place that we're going to have those bits we've been asking for a long time, because there is no way, and we have to keep them accountable for this, but there's no way they can start charging for the service and not deliver on that bit, right? There's going to be more there. So that's one way of looking at it. I think the other way of looking at it is we should be grateful they haven't gone the full Xero approach, because Xero approach in one respect is they want you to go on their store and then they want a slice of your income, right? Which was completely the wrong way to do it. And thankfully they're going away.
Like it's not like Apple where it's that or nothing, although the courts have now told them that's not legal.
Yeah, true.
But, so there were, like we at Engager, we decided we didn't want to be on the App Store. We didn't see the traffic. We didn't see that being the point where you'd go to look for a new practice management tool. So we had the option of paying per client per connection, which fine, because that's the bit that keeps them out of court with the European courts and stuff, where they go, no, you can't just insist and take a percentage.
There's an option.
Yeah. So that, at least they're not taking a cut. They're not insisting on taking a cut of your earnings for anyone that signs up through the App Store. And they're not insisting on you using Intuit single sign-on like Xero do. Again, if you're on the App Store, you've got to have a Xero single sign-in option available. But yeah, I suppose my issue more is they've lauded it over Xero for a long time with this. They've been quite proud of at least the UK team have, of our API is free of charge. This is a bit of a U-turn for them. It is, but at the same time, they weren't putting any real resources behind it. It was like, it's this free resource, fill your boots, but it wasn't, we know ourselves that there wasn't really much updates to it, and there wasn't really much, movement in there. So I think, it's a bitter pill to swallow. And you're right. The only people who are going to suffer from this are the end consumers, right? This is going to get passed on to end consumers. The end consumers are going to have to do better, pay more, shall I say, for the same service, really. Unless, and again, we have to hold them accountable for this, unless they do better and they give us a better API so that, software can do even more cool stuff. They can look even more deeper into the software. They can be on par with what the Xero one is. And in fairness to Xero, they charged from day one almost, didn't they? But they've consistently gave a really good API, and they've consistently given a really good solution and help to developers and stuff like that. That's what,
if Intuit QuickBooks are going to start charging for this, they need to also up their game in terms of support and API and everything else there. So
should they be launching a new API with new data points at the same time as launching the pricing model? Because at the moment, it doesn't look like they are. It looks like they're just going to start charging for the same current product that we have now.
They have released new ones, haven't they? They've released them to do with the project side of things. So if you've got a project within QuickBooks, that's now all open, and then now you can start putting that, which is quite a niche part of it, right? And I think, again, they need to do more than that. That can't just be what they release, but it's something. It's starting to open up the gates a little bit, isn't it? But yeah, they need to, for this to land, they need to look at what the competition doing, seeing what they're offering, and at least match that. And in my eyes, like we just said with Free, they need to go above and beyond. Like if they're going to start charging for this and they've never charged for it before, they need to come out the gates with some package that makes this worthwhile for those developers to get on board with, like support and all that sort of stuff. That needs to come through, because Intuit have the resources to do this, right? They've got the opportunity. They know what they're doing on this case, but they need to make this worthwhile for the new fee to come into play. But yeah, it is unfortunate, because every product we can think of is going to be affected by this, right?
Yeah.
They seem like quite high numbers when you look into the stuff, and we won't say them on air or anything, but they seem like they're quite high numbers.
But they're not.
They're not, are they? Yeah. When you look into it and look into what that actually means, they're quite restrictive until you start. And it's a tiered system, right? So the more pools you have, the more you have to pay. And I feel like that's going to be difficult.
As a context, to put a bit of context onto that, every time you click into a client in Engager that's got QuickBooks connected, that's a call.
Yeah.
We're just double checking the invoice, we're double checking the address details, etc. So that's a call. So how many different client records do you go into? How many jobs do you open up? Because that's another call to check invoices and stuff. Like, yeah.
One invoice isn't one call either, is it? It's all the different data points of the call.
Exactly.
Of the invoice, I say. So
yeah.
So they seem like big numbers when you first look at them, but like I said, they're not, are they? So yeah, and they have all the data in the world. So they've not just plucked this number out of thin air. They will have like this is going to affect 50% of our user base will be on this, and I have confidence that they know what they're doing in terms of those numbers and everything else. It's just that I think every platform that we can think of, from your accounts production software to your tax practice management software to your Aprons of the world, they're all going to be affected by this. And the only way that this is
going to hit Dex, Apron, and auto entry on this.
Yeah, exactly right.
Posting and bills and pulling data, that's going to cost a fortune.
I mean, I'd imagine in the background there's going to be some deals to be had here, right? Like this isn't going to be, there's going to be some sort of deal or whatever that they'll have. But yeah, it's going to be a big one.
So Kirsty's in the comments saying, "Oh, it would help Xenon, it would help Apron," but at what cost? Like, how much are you prepared to see Xenon and Apron's price for you go up so that you can have this better data that other tools are already offering anyway?
Yeah, but you're spreading that cost over X amount of users, right? Like, so yes, it's going to be a price increase. Yes, it's going to be that, but we'll absorb it. And in theory, any amount of update, especially like the Xenon platform, so if we get that on par with what Xero can bring in, already saving the money. Like it's already, whatever that cost is to us, we'll already absorb that and we'll always already benefit, right? But you're right, it does mean that there's going to be a cost increase from there. But Intuit have to deliver a better API product for this to make any sense whatsoever, right?
So I'm biased here because obviously I've run Engager, but if you want to charge for use of your API, should you charge those that are trying to plug in and add value to your users, or should you charge the user directly and have the confidence to go, yeah, we do charge for the API? Because it's a bit all cloak and daggers, isn't it? Like
it is.
Xero and QuickBooks would prefer we weren't telling people that they charge the software vendors for the privilege of accessing their data, right?
Yeah, which is why we were a bit apprehensive about talking about this, right? Like, is this
LinkedIn?
Yeah, and then it was all over LinkedIn. But the way that you approach the Xero thing, I think is the right way to do it, right? Like give the user a choice.
But
Like,
we were only able to do that because it was a very controlled, simple process of Xero charges X, we charge X plus card processing fee plus VAT. We're done.
yeah.
Okay. We can't do that with the way QuickBooks has built their model.
No, but I'm pretty confident you'll be able to go, right, if you want to continue using this service, here is the fee. And, pluck a figure out there, there's match Xero to begin with and say, look, this is what we're going to propose. It's going to match Xero and see what it's like. If it comes out and you're going to lose money on this, then straight away you have to go, right, we reviewed it and it's going to be more. And if you want to continue using it, unfortunately, this is the cost it's going to be. Your choice at the end of the day, right? You're giving the consumer choice, aren't you? Like, yeah, you're going to have to roll.
QuickBooks, they're giving us they're turning on a feature at the end of this month in their API developers area that will allow us to see a graph of call points and stuff for the next 6 months before they start charging.
Yeah.
So we can start averaging it out, but
I think, if you were going to go down the route of let's charge exactly the same what Xero is and roll the dice and see if that's
the costs don't
fair.
work that way. So we get charged X amount regardless of whether someone from Xero, regardless of whether someone's got 1 client or 10,000 clients, we get charged the same amount.
Yeah.
How do I justify an average fee for everybody where someone with 1 client is paying the same as someone with 10,000 clients when the reason that costs us more is actually those 10,000 client calling points?
100%. Yeah.
So QuickBooks, from a software vendor's point of view, QuickBooks would have been better to follow the model of Xero and charge per connection, because we can model that. We can price that out and go, look, guys, it costs us this. Nice and easy.
Yeah, I see your logic there, but I think they're trying to find that balance, aren't they? Like, and who's right, who's wrong, I don't know, but they're trying to find a balance of, if you're a really small developer, you shouldn't be paying too much, but when you get to a certain point, you should be paying for it. Who's right, who's wrong, I don't know. But all I would say is, from someone like you, I think the community would understand that you have no idea what this fee is going to be, right? Like, there is no, like, you're going to have to figure this out. And yes, it's more work for you as well. So you've got to build that into the cost of whatever that user is going to be, because you're going to have to build in reporting packages and you're going to have to build in blah, blah, blah. And you're going to, like, as the end consumer, we understand there's going to have to be a fee and that's going to be passed to us. But I think the fact that you've openly said, look, this is an add-on, you can have it or you can't, you don't have it, it's up to you. Or you can go to a competitor and it's completely free. Like, there's still that option for them, right? They can go to one of the other solutions. It's completely free. Like
free agent who don't charge for the privilege using their API.
Right? So that, I think, is the right approach from a, like, pass it down to the consumer and let them decide if they're going to want to pay for this add-on or not. It's frustrating, it's annoying, it's everything else, but I think that's the fair way of doing it.
We're having to have those conversations and justify ourselves.
Yeah.
When actually, it's QuickBooks and Xero should be having those conversations with their users and saying, look.
Yeah, but they're not, though, are they? Like,
but
they've done that. They always, all of them do that, right? Like, we could go on and on about the user upgrades and everything else, right? They're passing about, it's us. We're the ones as the promoters of the software, or, looking at, in your case, you're promoting a connection, right? Like, that's what, that's how it always been. Like, we're the ones who have to explain it. We're the ones who have to justify it. And as rubbish it is, that's just the way the cookie crumbles in this case, isn't it? But look, again, I think the most important thing is we have to hold them accountable for this. We need to see an improvement in.
We need to see value for money out of this money that we've not got to spend.
And if they deliver on that, fair enough. Like, that's all we can ask for. If we get a better product out of it overall and we have to pay more for it, then fair enough. But only if we get a better product out of it.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the comments. Linda Owen says, good morning. Clive says they're fixing custom fields issue as well. I don't know what
I think they're trying to, but yeah, I think it's a lot more complicated than just pulling the API, because at the moment API doesn't have access to custom fields, where they're struggling to get that to work. But yeah, I think they found a solution, but we'll see how it goes.
Fair enough.
But that's an exact point of, they don't have an excuse now not to put the development into fixing that, right? Yeah.
Sue Green says, wow, that could get messy when it comes to billing. Yep. Don't I know it?
He had a full head of hair before this announcement.
Not be too exaggerational. Louise Moore says, "Good morning, latecomer again." That's all right, Louise. We forgive you.
I mean, it's marked. It's marked on your score sheet, so you know.
Yeah.
Can't
You,
review.
but we will. Paul says it would be ideal for products to add more add-on fees like QuickBooks Payroll. Not sure what you mean there, Paul.
But it means about passing it to the end consumer. So it's one of
yeah.
those add-ons. So if you want to allow your QuickBooks to talk to XYZ, you pay QuickBooks directly. I don't know. Do I like that idea? I don't know. Because what will happen is you as the accountant will struggle to get your client to want to pay that extra money, and then you, the accountant, is going to absorb that going forward.
Yeah. No.
And also remember at the moment, all fees that your client absorb, if you pay for their fee, you have to pay for it and pass it on. So that's going to cause you even more billing headaches. At least now Engage has to pay for that and figure that out. Like, imagine you having to do that for each of your individual clients.
Yeah, can't wait. Right, moving on to more upsetting news.
Really glorious.
Really hit a cheerful strike this week, haven't we? Christ.
Oh, no, the free agent stuff was positive, wasn't it? Free agent stuff.
Well, it was for me, Mr. Negativity over there.
Mr. Negativity, I want them to wow me. This is their opportunity to wow me. We'll see how they can do
it. Apprenticeship level 7 funding has been scrapped.
Yeah.
Which everyone thinks, well, what's the importance? Well, actually, the amount of level 7 apprenticeships in the accounting and bookkeeping space that were helped and partially funded by the government was quite a lot. So when we are already facing a talent shortage, this is another kick in the face, really, to make that talent shortage even more challenging, and the ability of training up and bringing in more people into the industry even more expensive for the firms that are bringing them in on apprenticeships.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, thoughts on this?
Right. Triple, quadruple whammy, isn't it? What we had, the national insurance increase as well.
Yep.
National minimum wage has gone up yet again. Training accountants and bookkeepers going forward is just unsustainable. It's as simple as that. And I don't know any other way of phrasing it.
Surely governing bodies who, let's face it, I think are a waste of time, 99% of the time. This is their job, right? They should be challenging the government on this and going, what the hell are you thinking? To get taxes in, you need accountants and bookkeepers. For us to get those people trained, we need level 7 apprenticeships, and you've just turned off the funding.
Yep. Because I already know, I mean, our firm, we're going to have to review what going forward, right?
Yeah.
I'm too much of a softie to ever turn around and not support my team for getting qualifications. So I'll probably find a way to eat baked beans for the rest of my life or something. I don't know. Give up my pension pot or whatever. I don't know. We'll find a way. But I know there's been a lot of practices out there who have just said, no, this is it. End of story. And we're not going to provide training going forward at the level we used to. Or worst case scenario, they're going to pick and choose. And instead of giving everyone a fair opportunity to go through the system, I'm talking about more bigger practices, right? You used to take on like 5 or 6 intakes a year sort of thing, right? They'll be like, well, we'll try and take on 5 or 6, but it'll be more like 3 or 4 now because we can't afford to take any more than that on. And out of those 3 and 4, we'll figure out which ones we think are worthwhile. We'll put them through the qualification at level 7, and everyone else will just stay on whatever level they're on. Those conversations are already happening. It's a major issue, isn't it? Like, this is I can't see a single positive from this. I think we challenged this at the Labour conference when we remember last year. I went over to that Labour conference.
Oh yes.
And this is one of the bits we challenged, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We've got some really good other way. That funding's just going to be moved to another pot that's going to be more accessible." They tried to say, like it was this, you're going to get more soft skills being paid for, etc., etc. And I was like, is it soft skills we're crying out for at this moment in time? Is that what we need in our in any, like in the UK, right? Like, is it soft skills we need? Which, in fairness, ChatGPT can provide most soft skills for us now. Like, that is the best trainer of soft skills on the planet. What we need is we need to keep bringing that qualifications up and make qualifications worthwhile still. Like now we're just making it unattainable for a lot of people. That's all that's going to happen now, isn't it? People who used to, we take a, like we have to be responsible as an employee, but it was the risk factor wasn't there as much. Like it was a case of, right, you're a really good employee. You've shown that you want to progress. Let's give this a go, right?
We were incentivized to support and develop our teams to be better people.
Yeah. And now we've got to go,
where's the business case? Like,
yeah,
I did the level 7 apprenticeship in leadership and management years ago, and like there was no real justification for it at the time for my current business. Like my employer didn't. It was only because it was partially funded and stuff that they went, yeah, all right.
Yeah, it shuts him up.
Yeah, it shuts your hand up for another 10 minutes. But now, like, I know that there's businesses out there with whole L&D departments that are just, their focus is delivering apprenticeships internally across their whole company.
Yeah.
Out of hundreds and hundreds of employees. Like, that's a third of them gone. Like, just unemployed now because they've not got anything to deliver because there's no business case to justify providing most of the apprenticeships.
Yeah. And then it's just going to be a knock-on effect, isn't it? Because then the colleges out there delivering all this amazing content and everything else already struggling to keep up the quality standards, right? Because it's become a race to the bottom in some cases. They're just going to see their numbers plummet again. And we're just going to go through the whole process of plummeting numbers of qualified accountants and bookkeepers going forward, and the writing's on the wall as to why. For some reason the government can't see that, and yeah, it's just the way it is, isn't it? So what can we do?
Well, I think anyone in a governing body needs to be lobbying their governing body to lobby the government, whether it will do anything or not. But that is ultimately what the governing bodies are there for, is to represent us at Parliament, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. Right, and on that cheerful note, Stephanie Marshall wants a work divorce from you for calling her a Max fan. Stephanie's just been driving for 55 minutes with the ultimate amount of road rage because you called her a Max fan.
Talk to my lawyer.
And Paul says, many will think twice, in my opinion, about the add-ons. Yep.
Yeah, exactly right. Right.
Cool. Aaron, what have you got coming up this week?
Oh, what have I got coming up this week? Oh, yeah. So hopefully be on a rival podcast on Thursday. So keep out for information on that one. That'll be good fun.
That's a sackable offence.
I'm not on next week, apparently. This is my last show on Ask the Accountant. And also we're off to London for actual social reasons, which I'm looking forward to. We're going to go do an escape room in Battersea Power Station and go watch a play and all that sort of stuff. So that will be nice. Oh, I'm in London on Tuesday as well for ND8, I believe, but I don't know if it is ND8. Who knows? People in the chat know why I'm in London, so I'm sure people can put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, that'll be it'll be interesting. Interesting week. What about yourself? You're off to?
I am off down to Wokingham today.
Is that the actual phrase?
Wokingham, yes.
Is it? I
think so.
I've heard of Woking. I've heard of Birmingham.
Wokingham is next to Reading, which is the home of TaxCalc. So I'm going to be spending a few days down there at TaxCalc head office, catching up with everybody, just spending time getting to know each other better, learning what they do, how they do things, see if there's any quick wins we can put in place in Engager and stuff. And then Saturday morning, I am flying off to Mauritius for 2 weeks of R&R.
Nice.
I will be, hopefully, providing the internet's all good, I will be here each week still with Aaron, with or without a cocktail, to be decided.
Oh, what time is it going to be?
We're only 3 hours ahead in Mauritius.
Okay. So there's still be a cocktail involved.
Yeah, there'll probably be a cocktail. It might be my first cocktail of the day, but there will probably be a cocktail.
Have you got a
So, yeah,
swim up bar? Because you could set your camera up at the swim up bar, and then you just go back and forth.
I don't know if there is a swim up bar, but we'll find out. You'll know next week when I'm sat there in the bar swimming up to it.
What you want a Lilo?
Brought to you by Lilo and margaritas or pina coladas. But yeah, so yeah, no, really looking forward to a trip to Reading though this week or Wokingham, and spending time with the tax calc team before putting on the out of office email.
Good. And deleting all your
apps. Get it all uninstalled and stepping foot on the plane to Mauritius. So
nice.
Yeah. Turn off, recharge, come back refreshed.
Loving that.
Yeah.
Good. Well, enjoy
Brilliant.
it. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode, folks. So thank you very much to everyone that was in the comments, giving your feedback and thoughts.
Apparently, you're going for a swim. So I know you're going for a swim in Mauritius, but you know, Bracknell, Mauritius. I mean, surely the same sort of temperature.
Same thing, right? Although I suspect you'd spot different things when snorkeling.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We will see you all here, same time, same place, next week.
Cheerio. Bye.
Bye-bye.